Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about chapter 8, cell, the unit of life. As you know, cell is the basic unit of life. In all living organisms, there is a single cell or they made up of many cells. So without cells, life is not possible. So here we are going to discuss how cell plays important role in living organism. So first we discuss what is cell. Cell is the basic unit of life. So here, who discovered cell? That is Anton von Leeuwenhoek first saw a cell, live cells or living cells under microscope. He was not a scientist, but a normal lens making mechanics. He first noted in a drop of water that living cells are there. And next, cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. And then nucleus was discovered by Robert Brown. That means each cell, there is a controlling center that is called nucleus. Then to define that all living organism contain cells, that was proved by a theory that is called cell theory. So that was proposed by Sheridan and Siwan in 1855. So according to Robert Koch, in 1665 he discovered cell. So in cork cell he first discovered cell is like as given in the picture. They are chamber like structure, but whether inside it contain living materials, that is protoplasm, cytoplasm or nucleus, it could not be ascertained, but the cell is made up of some compartment like structure, and that is called cell as given by Robert Koch. Next, here we know that cell may be a unicell or multicell. That means an organism may contain a single cell or may be made up of many cells. So organism that contain or made up of a single cell, it is called unicellular organism. And the organism that is made up of many cells, that is called multicellular organism. So how we can differentiate it, the unicellularity and multicellularity. So these are some differences. And in case of unicellular organism, the body contains single cell, while in case of multicellular organism, the body contains many cells. In case of unicellular, the single cell perform all life activities, whether it is respiration, whether it is reproduction, whether it is growth, whether it is metabolism, whether it is physiological functions, etc., etc. And in case of multicellular, each and every metabolic functions, whether it is respiration, circulation, digestion, absorption, they are differentiated or divided in a group of cells. So there is a division of labor in multicellular organism, which is not found in unicellular organism. Next, third point is lifespan is very short. That means in unicellular organism, life is very short. For example, in bacteria, it lives for only 20 minutes. But in case of multicellular organism, the life is very long. And in case of unicellular organism, distinct reproductive structure is absent. But in case of multicellular organism, there is a reproductive system or organ is there to perform the process of reproduction. Next is power of regeneration is there. In case of unicellular organism, when they cut or when they in accidental purpose they divided into many cells, but if they contain a minimum amount of nuclear material, then they can regenerate. So this is the capacity of unicellular organism, but not in multicellular organism. And in case of unicellular organism, the cell is very large. That means it is made up of single cell, but cell is quite large. But in case of multicellular, the cell, they contain many cells, so the cell size quite minimum. So all of the cells can perform different function in coordination with each other. Next is how the shape we can ascertain the cell, whether it is circular, whether it is round. There are many type of or shape of the cell depending on their perform. So here RBC is circular or biconvex. Similarly, WBC or white blood corpuscles are circular, oblong, branched, etc. Their nucleus also of different and lobed structure, but here we see RBC or red blood corpuscle or white blood corpuscle. Next is the columnar epithelial cell. These epithelial cell found in the skin layer, and they are elongated or rectangular, and they are attached with each other. Next is the nerve cell. In case of human being, nerve cell, you see they are branched, they possesses many elongated structural processes, and inside the center the nucleus is present. In case of trachea, it is found in angiospermic plant. The trachea actually are without any cellular material or protoplasm is absent, but they perform important function that is called transportation of water. This is trachea as found in angiosperm, and it is also an elongated cells. In case of sperm cell, it consists of a globular head and long tentacles or tails. It is the sperm cells. Next is the ovum. Ovum are not motile. They cannot move from one place to another. This is the large cell and contain a large nucleus. So mesophyll cell, these are found in leaf. In leaf, we know that leaf are elongated or oblong. They are green color, they perform photosynthesis. But if we dissect or see under microscope, then it contains many elongated cells. Those are called mesophyll cells. So these are the different shape of the cells depending on their functions. Next is we are going to discuss about prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. So how cells are divided? Cells are divided on the one of the most important point, that basis, that is called whether they contain an organized nucleus or not. If they don't contain an organized nucleus means the nucleus must be surrounded by a membrane. It also possesses their protoplasmic structure, that is called nucleoplasm, and inside the nucleus there are DNA, etc. So if they don't contain an organized nucleus, they are called prokaryotes. And if they contain an organized nucleus, membrane bound nucleus, then it is called eukaryotes. So here is the diagram that shows the bacteria cell. Here first one is the prokaryotes. There the nuclear material is found, not nucleus is present, and the nuclear material is present in the center of the cell, and it is the nuclear material is called nucleoid, not nucleus. But in case of eukaryote, they contain a well organized nucleus. Here you see the nucleus contain a nucleolus, nucleoplasm, and nuclear membrane, and DNA and chromatin reticulum. So these are the four different definite structure found in a eukaryotic nucleus, but not in the prokaryotic nucleus. So to differentiate prokaryote and eukaryotes, we first noted the important point that first one is the well-defined nucleus is absent in prokaryote and a well-defined nucleus is present in eukaryotes. So in our next slide, we are going to discuss what is the important characteristic of prokaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells, nucleus is absent. Second, nucleoid present in the cytoplasm. That means instead of nucleus, nucleoid is present. Third point, membrane-bound cell organelles are absent. We know that inside the cell, there are some living cell organelles that perform important metabolic function. But these are sometimes consist of double membrane. They self-contained two membrane structure. So this type of two membrane structure, for example, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, etc., are absent in prokaryotic cell. And again, the ribosomes are present, but ribosomes are 70S type. When we discuss about the different cell organelles, we are going to discuss the different cell organelles about mitochondria, ribosome, what are the type of ribosome, etc. But here you must understand about the characteristic of prokaryotic cell. The prokaryotic cell contain what type of ribosome? 70S type of ribosome. S means that is the sedimentation coefficient. And here the DNA is circular. We know that DNA is called deoxyribonucleic acid. It is the genetic material of prokaryotic cell. So here the DNA is always circular. And here mitochondria is absent. Instead of mitochondria, it contains mesosome in bacteria. So these are the characteristics from which you can define prokaryotic cell from eukaryotic cell. Now we are going to discuss about eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell, we know that it is a highly developed and modern, very much found in higher organism. The cells are eukaryotic always in case of plant, animal, etc. Here you see well-defined nucleus is present. Well-defined membrane-bound nucleus means it is separated from the cytoplasm in the cell and it contains its own membrane. Beside that, nucleoplasm, a fluid inside which the nucleolus and chromatin reticulum float. So this is the important characteristic of eukaryotic cell. Next, ribosome is there. In case of eukaryotic cell, ribosome is present, but it is different from prokaryotic cell. What type of ribosome here it is found? It is 80S type. So we found that in case of prokaryote, 70S ribosome is found. In case of eukaryote, ribosome is 80S. Next, DNA here is linear. Genetic material here also DNA. In case of prokaryote, genetic material is also DNA. But in case of prokaryotic cell, that is circular. And in case of eukaryotic cell, it is linear or elongated. Here mitochondria is present. That means in eukaryotic cell, without mitochondria, a cell cannot survive in eukaryotic organism. Eukaryotic organism means higher plants and animals. That means in respiration, we synthesizes ATP, a biochemical energy compound that is called adenosine triphosphate that is necessary for all activities in a living organism. So that is synthesized in mitochondria and it is found in eukaryotic cell. And last one is all double membrane bound structure is present in eukaryotic cell. What are those membrane bound structure? Those are Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, next mitochondria. In case of plant cell, chloroplast is there, etc. So these are the difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Now in next slide, we are going to show the plant cell. Plant cell is an eukaryotic cell because it is highly developed cell. Here the central portion is called nucleus. And here there is a large vacuole is present. This vacuole's function, it maintains the osmoregulation and keep the cell rigid. Rigid means it is quite broad in shape due to the presence of vacuole. So what contained inside the vacuole? There are some fluid present in the vacuole, sometimes water, sometimes gas, but maximum water is present. It can maintain the osmoregulation of the cell. If in the cell water is reduced, then vacuole provided the water in the cell. And if the quantity of water increases in the cytoplasm, then they are reabsorbed in the or entered in the vacuole. So here you see in an eukaryotic cell what are the type of organelles are present. So these are the level given. So you can see the ribosome that is 80S type. Cytoplasm, this outer structure is outer nuclear structure that is present is called cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm there are some cell living organelles. These organelles are rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, next mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, etc. So in plant cell, there are always present a cell wall. This is the important characteristic of plant cell, presence of cell wall and chloroplast. Because plant cell always green in color due to presence of plastid, they are green, and here chloroplast is present. And another important characteristic, cell wall is present. So it is an eukaryotic cell. So why we are going to discuss today about plant cell? Plant cell basically a highly evolved cell. It is an eukaryotic cell. Why it is called eukaryotic cell? Because it contains a well-organized nucleus. Why it is called well-organized nucleus? Because the nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm. By how? By presence of a nuclear membrane. Inside the nucleus, there is a nucleolus, nuclear reticulum is there, and the fluid inside the nucleus is called nucleoplasm. And in case of plant cell, a well-defined cell wall is there. How you can differentiate plant cell from animal cell? Because in plant cell wall is there, but in animal cell wall is not present. And again, in case of plant cell, there is a large vacuole is present. In case of animal cell, large vacuole is not present. Many small vacuoles are present. And thirdly, here a pigment is present. Pigmented cell organelle is present, that is called chloroplast. So these are three basic differences between plant and animal cell, but both plant and animal cells are eukaryotic cells. Next is the picture showing the animal cell. Here you see it is also an eukaryotic cell. Here well-defined nucleus is present, but here cell wall is absent. So how we differentiate animal cell from plant cell? In plant cell wall is present, but in animal cell wall is absent. In case of plant cell, plastid or chloroplast is present, but in case of animal cell, plastid or chloroplast is not present. Animal cells are heterotrophic. They cannot synthesize their own food, but plant cell, due to the presence of chloroplast, they are autotrophic. They can synthesize their own food. Then other cell organelles are always present, like that of plant cell. But here some small vacuoles are present. In case of plant cell, a single large cell vacuole is present. So in this class today, we have discussed about eukaryotic cell, that is plant cell and animal cell. And what is eukaryotic cell? Well, organized nucleus is present, DNA is linear, and double membrane bound cellular structure is present. And what about prokaryotic cell? Prokaryotic cell, for example, bacteria. And here nucleus, well-organized nucleus is absent. Their ribosome is 70 S type, and DNA is always circular. So what is cell? What are the types of cell? What is unicellular, multicellular? What is cell? It is the basic unit of life, and this whole part we have discussed today. So this is the basic part. It is the introductory part, and in the Google Classroom, the textbook part is given. And if you are not adapted or not getting the textbook part of biology, then you can see this chapter now. And because from today we are going to discuss about chapter 8, that is cell, the basic unit of life. Thank you, student, for attending the today's class.